Good afternoon, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to this webinar on the Comprehensive Support Improvement Regional Improvement Teams. Thank you for joining us today for this important information. I'd like to talk for a moment before we get started about the Department of Education's shared vision for education in PA. There were really three goals that the department has for education in Pennsylvania. The first is that each school has support from an LEA to ensure that school leaders are accountable and empowered, particularly for those schools that have been identified for support and improvement. Second goal would be that the schools and communities are accountable to provide effective and engaging instruction within a supportive school culture. And finally, that the schools are providing an engaged, healthy, and safe environment for students who are college, career, and community ready. So with the department's goals in mind, today's purpose for the webinar is to recruit highly qualified candidates to serve on regional teams serving CSI schools. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce our members from CCIU who are in the room today. My name's Noreen O'Neill. I'm the Director of Innovative Educational Services.
I'm Mary Franciscus, HR Generalist at the Chester County Intermediate Unit.
And I'm Ian Strachan, Director of HR at the Chester County IU.
About a year ago, we gave a very similar webinar related to the same topic, to recruit highly qualified people to support CSI schools. Over the past year, there have been some structural changes to the CSI initiative, but the goal remains the same, to identify and put into place supports for schools that have been identified as CSI. And as you, as IUs know, this all comes down to having the right people provide those supports. So our structure, as you see on the PowerPoint, consists of having regional improvement teams. Each regional improvement team in the state has a coordinator, as well as a core team of specialists, and each school has a school improvement facilitator. This is a structure that we started with about a year ago. It has morphed to some degree, but basically it remains the same. We're looking for both core team members and school improvement facilitators to support CSI schools. The regional improvement teams use a collaborative approach that places the LEA and school leaders front and center in driving their own improvement. This means that the school improvement facilitators and core team members are working collaboratively with those school and district leaders. They facilitate the cycle of improvement process with those schools and serve as their guide as those empowered leaders of the school and district level create change within their structures. The teams rely on a cycle of improvement, and I know that this looks very familiar to many of you who support schools in Pennsylvania. It begins with setting the direction, assessing and prioritizing needs, and creating a plan. Last year, CSI schools started on this process, and they completed the creation of a plan. This year, they're really focusing on implementing that plan, monitoring that plan, and adjusting course. So the school improvement facilitators and core team members that we're looking for to provide these supports to CSI schools will be focusing on those three parts of the plan this year.
Okay, the core team members that are going to be working within the grant have in-depth knowledge of evidence-based practices related to their area of expertise, provide technical assistance in the core team member specific areas of expertise to engage those school leaders and school-based teams in a continuous improvement process, and then support school-based teams in implementing their school improvement plans, monitor their plans, and adjust the course of their plan as necessary. Their work would include coaching leaders, modeling lessons, co-creating materials, providing evidence-based resources, aligning curriculum, assessment, and instruction, and depending on their expertise, can support up to 5 schools. Currently, the vacancies that we have for core team members, for data, we're looking for the Bethlehem School District, Hazleton Area School District, Steelton High Spire, Harrisburg, and Crispus Attucks Charter School. The vacancies that we have in math are in the Lancaster School District, William Penn School District, Harrisburg City School District, Pittsburgh Public Schools, Crispus Attucks Charter School, La Academia Partnership Charter School, Center for Student Learning Charter School, Only Charter School, and then Youth Build Philadelphia Charter School. And then for vacancies in English Language Arts for core team members, we're looking for people to serve in Only Charter School and Pittsburgh Public School. Core team members for the School District of Philadelphia, there are 43 schools identified within the school district, and we have vacancies in all schools for math, early literacy, and English Language Arts. Who we are looking to fill these positions are candidates with 5 or more years of experience in their expertise, along with knowledge of evidence-based practices. The school improvement facilitators will engage school leaders and school-based teams in a continuous improvement process, including a facilitated self-assessment process, prioritizing strengths and needs, and conducting a root cause analysis. Using this information, the school improvement facilitator will support the school-based team as this information is used to develop, implement, and monitor an improvement plan that is based on evidence-based practices. The school improvement facilitators use core team members as support and expertise for the schools, and they can support up to 5 schools. Our current vacancies are at the Susquehanna Cyber Charter School, Pennsylvania Cyber Charter School, Bethlehem Area School District, Hazleton Area School District, and Allentown School District. Candidates we are seeking will have previous experiences as a building level principal or similar school leadership position. Next, I'd like to introduce you to one of our current IU consultants who is working as a core team member in data, and she is supporting the grant in the role of core team member in data for Keystone Education Center Charter School, Perseus School of Excellence, and Pennsylvania Distance Learning Charter School. Karen, there she is. Hi, Karen.
Hello. Thanks for inviting me to be here today. I have some information to share with you just about my role as a core team member for data. Recently, they've changed that to data analyst, and I am part of the regional improvement team, and I've been on board since the beginning, which was last year about mid-year. So I work very closely with the school improvement facilitator and also the teams at the school. So I had a chance to work with the steering committee members and now the implementation teams. And in my role, my job specifically as the data analyst is to compile information so that they are better informed to have productive conversations that aren't just based on perceptual data, but really comprehensive data. So we look at school achievement data, we look at growth data, we look at diagnostic data. We are bringing in, we do bring in some perceptual data from some surveys that are done with students and teachers and community members. We also conduct focus groups, and all of that data, somebody has to sort of compile it and organize it in a way that makes it user-friendly and helpful. So that's kind of my role as the school improvement, or I'm sorry, the core team member for as a data analyst. I'm going to stop there and see if Mary or Noreen, if there's anything else that you'd like me to speak about regarding my role.
No, does anybody have any questions for Karen? Karen, thank you very much for your time and for contributing today.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Karen.
So our next slide is about Charlie Travato. He is a current core team member in data for working at the Berks County IU. Charlie couldn't be here today, but he was kind enough to provide us with a recording of how he is supporting the grant.
Not only have I been able to compare and contrast the CSI grant to the historical school improvement planning process, I've learned even more about good leadership, administration, school climate, and good, solid instructional practices. My work under the CSI grant allows me the opportunity to engage with the schools on a more intimate level. Our scope of work includes both breadth and depth of knowledge, change, support, and sustainability with the school and LEA leadership in building teachers. I'm assisting our school leadership to feel comfortable with analyzing their data, finding significant outliers, looking at patterns and correlation, and really realizing that no matter what their data looks like, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, the data needs to be presented and discussed collaboratively in order to elicit change. As you consider applying for a CSI position, I would encourage you to reflect on the following. Keep your eye on and work towards small successes as a collaborative team rather than try to conquer something big in isolation.
Thank you, Charlie.
Not only have I been able to compare and contrast the CSI.
So our next slide is dealing with the regional team members and who they are and how they're working within the grant. They are contracted positions. They're paid by deliverables as deliverable windows are completed. They provide approximately 22 to 110 days of support to schools, and the compensation ranges from $11,000 to $55,000, which would be prorated after January 1st. Can be employees of IUs or other agencies or independent contractors, and they go through an interview process which is primarily through Zoom and also includes the school LEA reps, and they have the final say on who's going to be working within their school. And travel costs included in the compensation. So the compensation is based on deliverable completed. Again, the approximate days of support per school is 22 days. However, the school improvement plans dictate the needs identified where schools may require more support than others. So that's the end of us talking. Does anybody have any questions?
We think we have questions. We're not 100% sure. This is Chris Wolfel.
Hello.
Michelle Bazzini from IU20. How are you?
Good. How are you?
We jumped on your call a little bit late, so we apologize. So we might have missed some things. But certainly we are at least interested in seeing how we could be of support. So IU20 region has 13 school districts, and I would assume that of those 13 school districts, there's the support that needs to be provided to those districts, correct?
I would have to double check which schools were in your school district, but I'm sure there's a way that IU20 could support the.
Yeah, I noticed that on the posting it said that that you were looking for someone to support Allentown, Bethlehem, Hazleton school districts.
Correct.
And now I know within Bethlehem School District there's one CSI school. I'm not really sure because Allentown is not in our catchment area, so I'd be curious to know what schools are in Hazleton, Allentown, and if there are any other school districts as well.
I can find that out for you.
Okay, thank you.
So the other question I would have is, so if Allentown and Hazleton are two of the school districts that IU20 does not serve, I would want to know, do those IUs have interest in serving their own school districts? So, for example, I don't know if anyone's on this call from Carbon Lehigh 21, but they oversee Allentown. Mm-hmm. And what I would not want to do is, I would not want to say, IU20 definitely would take on Allentown when Carbon Lehigh says, well, we take on Allentown. And I wouldn't want to get into a war with my fellow IU. I would pretty much say, I'll step back, I'll concede, and I'll let Allentown take care of, or Carbon Lehigh take care of Allentown because that's their district. Do you know what I'm saying?
So what the process is, whenever we have a school improvement facilitator working in, trying to figure out what screen to look at, working in a school district within their IU, if they, for whatever reason, resign that position, we do go back to that IU and give them the opportunity to have another candidate apply. Now, every candidate does need to go through our interview process, and ultimately the decision is with that LEA, but they are given the first priority, that district or that IU.
Okay.
Carbon Lehigh, as a courtesy, I would reach back out to them just to confirm they didn't have anybody. But at this point, they haven't. It's been vacant since August.
Okay. And then which IU covers Hazleton? Do you know? Is it 18, 19?
It's one of those two. I can get that.
I'm thinking it's 19, but we're gonna check.
Okay. Did IU 19 have anyone involved or no? That you know of?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay. All right. Like I said, I'm always trying to be respectful before I start going into somebody else's turf.
Yeah,
Kristen?
good question.
Can I add some information just from my experience? I work at IU6.
Mhm.
Two of my 3 schools, one's in IU5 and one's in IU4 territory. My SIF that I work with is Dave Zupsik, and he's from IU4. So we're kind of tag teaming, and what we do is we're leading the school improvement process, but we are tapping into the resources at each of those appropriate IUs to bring in professional development and additional support where it's needed and when it's needed. So it's a really collaborative process as opposed to a competitive process.
Okay.
And looking at the vacancy that's in Allentown, there are, it looks like, what, 4 schools in Allentown?
Okay.
But there is somebody who is from another IU supporting those schools, but there is one school in Allentown that has a vacancy.
Okay. Very good.
And then your other question was Hazleton is under IU 18.
That's IU 18. Okay. All right.
Mhm. Those are good questions.
All right.
Right,
Do you have
any-
questions, Michelle?
No,
sure?
I just had a question on how many, I guess she said she would look into exactly how many schools we would be looking at supporting. That would be me.
So a school, right now we have 3 vacancies in that area.
Okay.
One for a school in the Bethlehem area school district, another one in the Allentown school district, and then another one in Hazleton.
Okay.
Okay. Very good.
3 schools for 1 person.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
And one person could do the 3 schools. Typically for a school improvement facilitator, they support up to 5 schools.
Okay.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
So if we are interested,
Mhm.
who would our contact be?
So that would be myself.
Okay.
And I'm going to show the next slide. I'll go back to sharing the screen and I'll have my contact information.
Okay. Perfect.
So you can reach out to me. That's my email address and that's my phone number. So it's maryf@cciu.org. And then my phone number is 484-237-5082. Does anybody else on the call have any other questions? Thank you, Karen, very much for contributing today. Your input was very valuable.
You're welcome.
That's it, everybody. Thank you very much. And again, there's my email address if you have any questions.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a great day.